Hello and welcome to a case study on the Lamar wind farm in Colorado. I'm Adam Reed from the Renewable and Sustainable Energy Institute in Boulder, Colorado, USA. In the past few lectures, we've examined justifications and mechanics in traditional cost-of-service economic regulation of electric utilities. Now we'll examine how such a system deals with a utility-scale renewable energy project. The Lamar wind farm, also known as Colorado Green, is a 162-megawatt, 108-turbine wind power project jointly owned by Iberdrola and Shell. Its power is purchased through long-term contract by Xcel Energy, an investor-owned utility in traditionally regulated Colorado. The developers built the plant over just under 12,000 acres of cattle grazing land, and the turbines occupy less than 2% of the available land. The project came online in 2003, which is worth noting since that was a year before the state of Colorado adopted a renewable energy portfolio law that required utilities to purchase renewable energy for a portion of their total energy resales. That makes Colorado Green a great case study for renewable energy in a traditionally regulated market, because it had to justify itself purely on economics. No explicit policy supports were yet in place. So how did it get there? In 1999 to 2000, Xcel Energy issued a request for proposals, or RFP, for new power generation. Enron, a project developer that is now defunct, proposed a 162-megawatt wind project in Lamar. Xcel rejected the proposal, opting instead for an all-natural gas generation portfolio. In 2001, environmental and renewable energy advocates, led by the Colorado Renewable Energy Society and the Land and Water Fund of the Rockies, sued Xcel in front of its regulator, the Colorado Public Utilities Commission. How did they do that? Well, they argued that natural gas prices were inherently volatile, and that wind was the safer investment. The advocates could make this argument only because Xcel was a regulated utility with a protected monopoly service territory, and thus its investment decisions were subject to regulatory oversight. Xcel claimed that natural gas prices would remain low, and that the ancillary service costs in operating reserves and frequency regulation of integrating the wind farm would cost $62 million. The wind farm advocates, however, predicted natural gas price volatility and lower ancillary service costs for the wind, around $3 to $6 million. Regulators sided with the wind farm advocates. As of 2006, 5 years later, the price of natural gas was around $7, higher than either party had expected, and the ancillary service costs of the wind farm were much closer to the advocates' estimates than Xcel's. As we can see in this chart, natural gas prices leading up to and following the decision had shown extreme volatility. This was important in the Commission's decision, as it appeared very difficult to predict exactly what the price of natural gas might be going forward. The Commission found a substantial probability that gas prices would rise and considered it prudent to expect higher gas prices. Moreover, even with the low forecasted gas prices of the utility, the wind farm was still likely cheaper than gas, provided ancillary service costs weren't too high. The Commission's final order to Xcel to negotiate a wind purchase stated, "We find that adding Enron's Lamar wind energy bid to Xcel's preferred resource plan is in the public interest and comports with the integrated resource planning rules and will likely lower the cost of electricity for Colorado's ratepayers. After a careful analysis of the economics of the wind bid, we find that it is justified on purely economic grounds without weighing other benefits of wind generation that could be considered under the IRP rules." Integrated resource planning is a method of planning for future generation and transmission expansion in a way that weighs alternatives to arrive at a least-cost solution. It is a staple of utility planning in many regulated jurisdictions and is the linchpin of including utility-scale renewable energy in utility generation portfolios. Construction of the whole project took about 6 months, from initial construction through transmission work, road grading, foundations, collection systems, operations and maintenance facilities, turbine installation, and commissioning. The total project cost about $162 million, and financing was global, including money from Australia, the Netherlands, Scotland, Belgium, France, and Germany. The aftermath is storied for the project. Enron, the developer, became embroiled in a market manipulation and accounting scandal in California and filed for bankruptcy at the end of 2001. GE bought its portfolio in the following year and began construction on the project under contract with Xcel. Xcel signed a 10-year power purchase agreement in 2003. GE then sold the under-construction farm to PPM Energy and Shell for $212 million. The facility was commissioned in February 2004. Xcel, meanwhile, is the most interesting part. Despite its initial reluctance, the process had a profound effect on the utility's culture. To date, Xcel is now the #1 utility in the United States for wind power production and is a staunch advocate for wind power in a country otherwise dominated by coal, nuclear, and natural gas generation. Thank you for your attention.